Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh. Tonight we're going to celebrate the life of Guru Gobind Singh. And it's a big life. It's a life that's filled the pages of our history, changed our world, and fills our hearts. And as you listen to this history, there's a lot of tragedy in it. But one thing that's important to remember is Guru's approach to his life and these experiences of his life. I wrote something on Gurmustik's blog a little while back, and I referred to the tragedy that you see in his life. And one of the Sikhs wrote in to say that he didn't have that, he didn't experience that as tragedy because he wasn't a normal man. And I ran across a Saki of Guru Gobind Singh's that illustrated that. This was at a time after his 4 sons had died, and there was so much war and battle in the Khalsa that so many had been killed. And the Guru was celebrating. The Sikhs had come together at Damdama Sahib, and they were just, he was celebrating the fact that all of his Singhs had come together. And one of the Singhs came to him and said, "Don't you feel this pain in your heart that we've lost so much?" And the Guru said, "No, this is all the will of God, and my sons came to this world to leave in the way that they did. And the Singhs who fought and died came to this world to come and die." And the Singh said, "But Guruji, the loss has been in the thousands." And the Guru said to him, "This is true, but the gain has been in the millions." And so this story is about the gain.
Beginnings. The life of Guru Gobind Singh is a story of the birth of a spiritual nation. A nation without geographical boundaries, created with love and comprised of strong and righteous warriors willing to stand against tyranny and oppression. Guru Gobind Singh beams through history as a man of radiance and spiritual light, bringing the experience of God to the common man and restoring dignity to all people. Before his birth as Guru Gobind Singh, he was known as Rishi Dushdaman, high in the sacred mountains of the Himalayas, where the air is cold and clear. There is a secluded lake known as Sapatsarang. At this holy place, the exalted Rishi Dushdaman sat in deep meditation, passing the ages in love of his Lord. The time came when the cries of anguish on earth moved the one God to such an extent that he called his most beloved to be born again on the physical plane. Very bluntly, the Rishi replied that he did not want to be reborn. He would rather spend his days in meditation. But God explained to him the need and showed him the plan, and the Rishi bowed humbly to the will of God. With the mission to protect the weak and destroy the tyrants who had gripped the world, the soul known as Rishi Dushdaman took birth as the great warrior, Guru Gobind Singh. Guru Tegh Bahadur Ji, the 9th Guru of the Sikhs, traveled extensively to sustain and care for the Sikh communities that were spread all over India. He was traveling on his way to Bengal and Assam when his saintly wife, Mata Gujri, was blessed with child, and she could not continue with him on the journey. He left Mata Gujri along with her brother Kirpal Chand and his own mother, Mata Nanaki, in Patna in the eastern part of India in August of 1666, while he continued on his missionary tour. The Holy Child was born on the 7th night after the new moon, December 22nd, 1666. When the news reached Guru Tegh Bahadur, there was great rejoicing throughout the Panth, and he named the child Gobind Rai. Just as all children are reared in the laps of their mothers, the 10th Guru grew up as a precocious child, playing in the lap of Mata Gujri. Everyone in the city of Patna loved him, and the entire town was his playground. They called him Balapritam, the beloved child, and here he grew up in safety, far from the deadly politics of the Punjab. In spite of all the pampering and affection lavished on him in Patna, he missed his father and was anxious to be with him. Finally, when he was 7 years old, his father called for him and his family to return to the holy city of Anandpur Sahib, their family home in the north of India.
Anandpur. Home in Anandpur Sahib, Guru Tegh Bahadur took keen interest in Gobind Rai's education. He was given tutors in Gurmukhi and Persian languages and Sikh history. With great ease, he mastered each subject and excelled at everything he did. With his cousins and companions, he was trained in archery, horse riding, weaponry, and swordsmanship. After his daily routine studies, he played games of war with his cousins and friends. Bala Pritam knew the time would soon need persons who would have swords in their hands, the name on their lips, and love in their hearts. At the time, the Islamic armies of the Mughal Emperor Aurangzeb were occupying northern India. He was a cruel and fanatic ruler, and the people of India were terrified of him. In Kashmir, under the emperor's orders, the soldiers were converting Hindus by force. Accept Islam as their religion or die by the sword. The imperial viceroy of Kashmir carried out the policy vigorously, and blood ran like rivers through the land. The holy men in Kashmir came to Guru Tegh Bahadur and told their horrible story, imploring him to save their families and their faith. The Guru was deeply moved by the brutal injustice. Dharma is at stake, said the Guru. The Hindu people need a leader, a noble champion to oppose the emperor. Looking into his father's luminous face, Gobind Rai replied, "Father, who is more brave and honorable than you?" Guru Tegh Bahadur was astonished to hear this fearless answer. He asked the Pandits to go back and inform the Mughal emperor that Guru Tegh Bahadur would be their spokesman. If the Guru of the Sikhs was converted, then all Hindus would voluntarily accept Islam. In July, Guru Tegh Bahadur set off for Delhi with a handful of trusted Sikhs. Emperor Aurangzeb had the Guru arrested along the way and brought him to Delhi, where he was imprisoned and brutally tortured in a futile attempt to convert him to Islam. The emperor tried his worst, but the Guru did not abandon his own faith. After months of unspeakable torture, the stone-hearted emperor ordered the Guru publicly executed. On November 11th, 1675, at Chandni Chowk in Delhi, the Guru of the Sikhs was beheaded before a large crowd, giving his own life for universal freedom of religion. A fierce windstorm whipped through Chandni Chowk, plunging the streets into darkness. An earthquake violently shook the city and the crowd panicked. In that darkness and chaos, a brave Sikh, Bhai Jeta Ji, picked up the head of the Guru and slipped away unnoticed. With great love and sadness, he brought the head of Guru Tegh Bahadur Ji to 9-year-old Gobind Rai. Foretelling the type of leader he was to become, Gobind Rai stood tall through his pain and loss. He blessed Bhai Jeta and honored him in the Sangat. The Sikh people were plummeted into unfathomable grief, and endless tears flooded the land.
Guru Gobind Rai. As the Sikh nation gradually emerged from mourning, they turned their attention to the inauguration ceremony of Gobind Rai, whereby he would become the next Guru of the Sikhs. On Baisakhi Day, March 29th, 1676, the preparations were completed and the Sangat pulsed with anticipation. In a solemn ceremony before the entire Sangat, Gobind Rai became the 10th Guru of the Sikhs at the age of 10 years old. The Sangat roared with thunderous calls of victory, devotion, and love. Within months, Guru Gobind Rai brought joy and light to Anandpur, transforming the saddened city into a center of creativity, commerce, and optimism. News of the young Guru spread throughout the entire region, and people flocked to see him. Raja Bhimchand, a neighboring hill chief, was green with jealousy when he saw the beautiful bounty that the Guru brought to Anandpur. He took a public vow of aggression on the Guru and began making preparations to invade Anandpur Sahib. The news of impending war was cause for great concern. Most of the Guru's advisors were opposed to war because the Guru was still only 18 years old. Guru Gobind Rai had received an invitation from Raja Medni Prakash of Simur to come and stay as his royal guest. The Guru's mother and grandmother counseled him to leave Anandpur Sahib and visit the Raja, thus cooling the talk of war. So in 1685, the Guru's family made the journey to Simur in the foothills of the beautiful Himalaya mountains. The crisis with Raja Bhimchand had been postponed, but not avoided, as the black heart of Bhimchand still boiled with jealousy and the thirst for war.
Paonta Sahib. Guru Gobind Rai loved the mountainous regions of Sirmur. The rugged territory and the sweet vistas of the Himalayas suited his exalted nature. One summer day, when Raja Medni and the Guru were out riding, they came to a beautifully wooded area near the Yamuna River. He put forth a proposal that the Sikhs build a fort there, which the Guru readily accepted, and then the foundations of the fort of Paonta Sahib were laid in August 1685. Here in Paonta, on the banks of the river Yamuna, Guru Gobind Rai began building the strength and spirit of his people. As word spread throughout the Sikh nation, people poured into Paonta from all over northern India. The Guru invited poets from the various schools to Paonta, and the 52 poets regularly competed in verse and rhyme. As the devotees came, horses, elephants, riches, and armaments filled the fort of Paonta. A village sprang to life, and within a few months, Paonta became the center of Sikh life. The Guru spent his days meditating, writing, studying with his tutors, and the many saints and sages who visited him. During his days in Paonta, Guru wrote Jap Sahib, the song of the warrior saint. Weaving the different languages into 199 verses, the Jap Sahib describes God from every side, in both Nirgun and Sargun, the transcendental and the phenomenal aspects. The Guru tells us in the Mangalacharan, in the beginning verse, that by naming God, we come to know God. Succeeding waves of names and attributes roll one after the other throughout the entire Bani, reaching far beyond the rational faculty of man, deep into the realm of experience. But even still, he remembered the lesson he had learned at Anandpur Sahib, and with daily punctuality, he trained in the art of war. A few months later, Raja Bhimchand, the same evil hill chief from Anandpur Sahib, was traveling with his son's marriage party on a journey to the bride's home in Srinagar. He had to pass through the region of Paonta on his way north. Bhimchand saw this as an opportunity to destroy the Sikhs. He coerced the hill chiefs from the area to plot war against the Sikhs in exchange for the rich plunder of Paonta Sahib. At least 14 hill chiefs joined together with Bhimchand as a united front against Guru Gobind Rai and the Sikhs. Paonta was in imminent danger of attack, and the Guru began preparations for war. Guru Gobind Rai knew that he was born into this world as a warrior and a defender of righteousness and freedom. So the news of war did not surprise him, nor did it cause him anxiety. Instead, he moved swiftly forward with preparations, gathering his young and unproven army for battle. In a booming voice, the Guru called out the Sikh battle cry, Sat Sri Akal, and rode forth to confront the enemy army. It is written that the hoofs of the Guru's horses, as they galloped away, raised such clouds of dust that obscured the sun, and the cheers of his men resembled the thunder in the stormy and rainy month of Savan.
The Battle of Bangani. The Battle of Bangani was fought on September 18, 1688. Surrounded by his generals and advisors, the Guru prepared to direct the battle. The Guru stationed his troops on the banks of a ravine which served as a natural rampart, forcing the enemy to fight uphill. For the Sikhs from the small fort of Paonta Sahib, who were vastly outnumbered and who had never experienced battle before, it was a fierce and frightening vista. The Battle of Bangani had lasted a total of 9 hours. As the last light of day left the plains, the bodies of fallen soldiers could be seen scattered throughout the field, and the ground was red and thick with blood. The enemy troops were gone completely, and the Sikhs of Paonta raised a cry of victory. After the Battle of Bangani, the fame of Guru Gobind Rai spread far and wide, and thousands of people flocked to Paonta Sahib for his darshan. In 1687, Guru Gobind Rai left the mountainous regions of Paonta Sahib to return with his family to Anandpur Sahib. At the age of 21, he had already proven himself as a poet, a patron of the arts, a leader of his people, and as a brave and talented commander in battle. During the next 10 years, Anandpur became the center of Sikh life. The Guru became the father of 4 beautiful sons, strong, brave, and wise beyond their years: Baba Ajit Singh, Baba Jujhar Singh, Baba Zorawar Singh, and Baba Fateh Singh. They learned the skills of a soldier, a saint, a scholar, and a statesman at the feet of their glorious father. Every evening they would gather their friends and practice the arts of swords and archery. Their father taught them the Sikh warrior ethics, that the sword should never be used in aggression, but only in defense, and that too, only as a last resort. As their skill grew, so did the love of their father, Guru Gobind Singh. Guru Gobind Rai secured the city with 5 forts and continued to train daily with sword and horse. During this time, the Guru wrote most of the Bani, which is now the Dasam Granth Sahib.
Vaisakhi, 1699. Terrible times were coming in the hands of the Mughal oppressors, and Guru Gobind Rai knew that something must be done to secure the religious freedom of the Sikhs. The farmers and the merchants of Punjab needed to be reborn as saint soldiers, strong and fearless. In 1699, Guru Gobind Rai sent out an invitation to his Sikhs to come to Anandpur for Vaisakhi gathering and to bring armaments to him as gifts. No longer did he consider gold and jewels as precious items of tribute. Instead, he valued the beauty of a strong sword, a straight musket, and a brave horse. In the spring of 1699, large numbers of Sikhs arrived at Anandpur Sahib and set up their camps and langar kitchens. More than 80,000 people had come to Anandpur Sahib, finding the Guru's personal invitation too enchanting to decline. Unlike any event that had gone before, the Guru strode out onto stage alone. He was powerful in his appearance. He was dressed in beautiful clothes, with garlands of jewels around his neck and a feathered plume in his turban. 2 powerful swords hung at his waist. His usually peaceful expression was gone, and a deep intensity penetrated his being. The fire of battle, Bir Ras, charged his every movement and radiated over the crowd, exciting the hearts of Sikhs. A hush fell over the crowd, and all eyes were riveted unto the unfolding drama on the stage. Unsheathing his sword and raising it to the sky, he called out,
"My sword is thirsty for blood! I want the head of a Sikh!"
No one moved, except some poetic response to this dramatic declaration. Nothing could be heard over the vast crowd but the clanging of horses as they shift nervously on the side. Leaning forward and searching face to face, the Guru boomed in an unforgiving voice,
"I need a head! Who is willing to satisfy the calling of my sword?"
Dayaram, a shopkeeper from Lahore, startled even himself when he stood up and moved purposely to the stage. The incredible intensity in the Guru's whole body drew him like a magnet. His heart swelled and pumped so loud he could hardly hear his own voice as he replied, "Guru Sahib, my head is yours." Moving through the crowd to the stage, he climbed up and folded his hands before the Guru. Guru Gobind Rai took him by arm, and with a fierce glance over his shoulder, he led him to the tent. The crowd clearly heard the liquid thump of steel passing through flesh. Moments later, the Guru strode from the tent back onto the stage with his sword dripping with crimson blood. A gasp spread through the Sangat as the Guru walked to the very edge of the platform and raised the wet sword over his head and roared,
"I need the head of another Sikh! Is there any among you who will quench the thirst of my sword?"
The crowd fell stunned in silence. There was no mistake that the Guru was very serious, but his actions made no sense, and panic stirred in some people. However, one by the name of Dharmdas, Himmat, Mokam Chand, and Sahib Chand, one by one, fearlessly stepped forward, knowing full well what they were laying out for their lives. But now the Guru took a little longer in returning from the tent, and when he emerged, he walked slowly and calmly, with a bearing of mastery. Behind him walked the Panj Pyare, the 5 beloved ones, dressed in beautiful bana of gold threads and resplendent turbans. Their faces glowed. Even their families could not recognize them, as these humble Gursikhs radiated the light of Guru himself.
The Khalsa. The Sangat was transfixed with awe, and many bowed their heads into the dust at the sight that was before them. With all faces turned toward him, the Guru then spoke to the crowd. "These 5 beloved Sikhs are the Khalsa. Through the supreme test of faith, even at the sacrifice of their lives, they have become pure. You who are present here, and you who come in all the ages to follow, I call on you to join the brotherhood of the Khalsa. Through the purity of the Khalsa, the world shall be free, and the grip of the tyrant shall be broken." The crowd rose to their feet in cries of joy and victory. In a brilliant move of leadership, the Guru had transformed the Sikhs into the Khalsa, a spiritual nation that would never die. Taking a bowl of iron filled with pure water, the Guru knelt in Virasan and stirred the water with the double-edged sword. Mata Jito Ji came forward with cakes of sugar wrapped in her chuni. The Guru nodded as Mataji dropped the sugar into the water, adding sweetness to the power of the steel. The 5 beloved ones came forward, and from that Guru's hands they drank the Amrit, uttering the new greeting of the Khalsa brotherhood. Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh. The Khalsa belongs to God. Victory belongs to God. To the astonishment of all who had gathered, Guru Gobind Rai came forward and knelt before the five. He said, I also seek to be baptized at your hands and into the fold of the Khalsa. You have given your love to me. Now I give mine to you. Baptized by the Panch Pyare, Guru Gobind Rai transformed his magnificent self to Guru Gobind Singh, merging his identity forever with that of the Khalsa. Nearly 100,000 people took Amrit in the days that followed, and the Khalsa spiritual nation was born. The Mughal rulers in Delhi looked with fear and disapproval on what was happening in Anandpur. The Sikhs were growing in strength and numbers daily as the population, who had been living under suppression for 200 years, flourished until the protection of the Khalsa. Emperor Aurangzeb feared that the Guru and his Khalsa would threaten his tyrannical rule in northern India. He commanded that his generals put an end to the Khalsa and raze the city of Anandpur.
The Battle of Anandpur. The first attack on the city was in 1695, but between 1700 and 1704, the Sikhs successfully fought one battle after the next. The Khalsa became a brave and moral fighting force against the tyrannical Mughal rulers that occupied the Punjab. They achieved an exalted state of deathlessness, which empowered even a handful of Khalsa to fight effectively against overpowering numbers. They emerged as warriors of the highest state, defending the weak and poor, and never using force as an act of aggression. The last battle of Anandpur Sahib ended in a prolonged and brutal siege on the city. The Muslim armies completely surrounded the city and cut it off from outside supplies. The strategy of the Mughals was to tighten the noose of siege on the city until the will of the Sikhs was broken. With the food supplies exhausted, the Sikhs suffered greatly, and food was rationed to 1/4 pound of corn a day. The Sikhs left the fort at night and whenever they could and took supplies from the enemy's camp. Yet even this was not enough. The inhabitants of Anandpur were dying of starvation. The Khalsa stripped the bark off the trees and baked it into bread. They ate all the leaves and flowers which grew on the city walls. As the months passed, the situation became more desperate. When it became clear they couldn't dislodge the Sikhs with force or siege, the enemy generals formed a plan to induce the Guru to leave Anandpur by trickery. Aurangzeb sent a message to the Guru assuring him a safe passage if he and his army would leave the city. He sent a signed copy of the Quran and pledged it upon its pages that his promise was genuine. The Guru knew this was a trap and that the Mughals would ambush him, but on repeated requests of the family and his advisors, Guru Gobind Singh agreed to leave the fort. In the darkness of the night, ravaged by a violent storm on December 20th, 1704, Guru Gobind Singh, his family and followers left the fort of Anandpur. When the Sikhs were mid-river, the imperial armies betrayed their promise and attacked them from behind. There was hard fighting in the darkness and the cold rain. Hundreds of brave Sikhs were killed in the battle. And in the fighting and confusion, Guru Gobind Singh's family was split up in the darkness.
Chamkaur. As the sun rose, Guru Gobind Singh and his two older sons, Baba Ajit Singh and Baba Jujar Singh, rode together with a group of about 40 Sikhs with the entire Mughal army in hot pursuit. They took shelter in a small mud fort at Chamkaur and fortified it in preparations for battle. The Guru posted his men strategically on the roof, doors, and windows. It was the firm resolve of each of the 46 to fight to the last drop of blood, as the enemy had amassed 100,000 troops on the horizon. In small groups, the Sikhs went out from the small fort of Chamkar to delay the full attack of the enemy. They fought bravely and amazed the Mughal soldiers with their skill and effectiveness, holding off the advancing troops. Swirling and slashing their swords, the few Sikhs wreaked mighty destruction amongst the enemy. The strategy worked, and a band of 40 Sikhs held the fort against the huge army for the entire day. The Guru's son, Baba Ajit Singh, who was then 17 years old, placed his head on his father's feet and asked permission to go forward and fight the enemy. Guru Gobind Singh understood that this was their last meeting on earth. Smiling, that eternally loving father gave permission for his son to enter the battlefield. Baba Ajit Singh took with him 5 brave Sikhs and charged out from the safety of the fort. He fought with a fierce fury, and Mughals fell beneath his powerful steel. When his arrows were spent and his sword was broken, Ajit Singh spitted the enemy with his spear. When his spear snapped, the enemy made a fresh attack and mortally wounded him. The Guru, fighting from the roof, said, "O God, it is you who sent him, and he has died fighting for his faith. The trust you have given me has been restored back to you." Baba Jujar Singh, the Guru's second son, aged 14, on seeing his brother's brave fight, could not restrain himself and asked his father's permission to join the battle. The youth took 5 more Sikhs with him, and like his brother before him, created havoc among the seasoned enemy soldiers. It is written that Baba Jujar Singh made his way through the Mughal army as a crocodile through a stream. The enemy fell like rain in the monsoon until the beautiful young boy, Baba Jujar Singh, also succumbed to the overwhelming numbers. The few remaining Sikhs came to Guru Gobind Singh and petitioned the Guru to leave the fort and let them stay and contend with the enemy. If at least the Guru survived, then the seed of Sikh Dharma would live on. The Guru was reluctant to leave his men in the heat of battle, but the Sikhs replied, "Beloved Guruji, we're not making a request. We're 5 Sikhs. By the power given to us on Baisakhi Day, we are giving you a Gurmata, which must be obeyed. You must leave this place." In the morning, the Mughals made a full assault on the little fort of Chamkar. The Sikhs fought bravely, and they inflicted great loss on the enemy. But eventually, the vastly superior numbers of the Mughals prevailed. They thought they had finally killed the Guru, but they were sorely disappointed to realize that Guru Gobind Singh had once again outsmarted them.
Sirhind. During the crossing of the river Sirsa, when the Mughal armies ambushed the Guru, the younger sons of Guru Gobind Singh, Baba Zorawar Singh, age 9, and Baba Fateh Singh, age 7, were separated from the group in confusion. They walked with their grandmother, Mata Gujari. By the morning, they were captured by Wazir Khan, the cruel governor of Sirhind. In Sirhind, they were imprisoned in a tower that was unbearably cold in deep December. It was a barren cell with no cots or mats, just a pile of straw for comfort. In the morning, the soldiers came to bring them to face with Wazir Khan. When they stood before Khan, even then he was struck with their beauty. He offered to spare their lives if they would convert to Islam. If not, he proclaimed, they would be killed. Baba Zorawar Singh said in a loud voice, "My father is Guru Gobind Singh, my grandfather is Guru Tegh Bahadur, and my great-grandfather is Guru Har Gobind. Death means nothing to me. Our death will fan the flames that will drive all tyrants from this land." Their bravery and insolence in court shocked the Khan. With a cold heart, he ordered their execution. A soldier led way for both Sabzadas. A huge crowd had collected and expressed their shock at the murder of such innocent nuns. "What crimes have these children committed?" cried one. "How cruel and inhumane," exclaimed another. "They are brave sons of their brave father," said another. The Sahibzadas were brought to a spot where a wall was being raised. Both of them were made to stand side by side. They started reciting Japji while the wall went up, brick by brick. When the wall reached their chests, they were again offered life if they would convert to Islam. Lifting his head high, Baba Fateh Singh said, "We shall not give up our faith. We have taken the amrit of the double-edged sword, so what do we care for death?" The wall went higher and higher until both Sahibzadas became unconscious. At the tender age of 7 and 9, the two brothers died. Tears flowed from the eyes of onlookers who watched this tragedy. Horrible, for even this regime was known for persecution. They cried out in dismay, "What cruelty! Who shall answer for this crime?" Mata Gujri breathed her last on hearing the heartbreaking news, and a wave of anguish gripped the country as the reports of the martyrdom of the Sahibzadas spread. Guru Gobind Singh was told of the death of his young sons, and he listened with an emotionless face, but with a weeping heart. He took an arrow and thrust it into the ground and pulled out a bush. He said,
"Such a tragedy will not go unnoticed in God's court. Like this weed, the Mughal Raj will be uprooted." Zafarnama. Guru Gobind Singh wrote a beautiful letter to Aurangzeb, known as the Zafarnama, which means the letter of victory. He chastised the emperor for his cruelty, his falsehood, and his deceit, explaining the Sikh code of warfare and exposing Aurangzeb for his corrupt morality. In the eloquent Zafarnama, Guru Gobind Singh wrote, "When you swore an oath on Muhammad and called the word of God to witness, you should have kept that promise. If the Prophet himself were present here, I would make it my special duty to inform him of your treachery. Even though my 4 beautiful sons were killed, the Khalsa remains behind like a coiled snake. What brave deed is it to quench these few sparks of life? You are merely stoking a raging fire." When Aurangzeb received the Zafarnama, he was aghast with the bare truth of what evil he had done. Fearing God's judgment, he lifted the death warrant on the Sikhs and declared an end to persecution. He pledged to meet with Guru Gobind Singh, but Aurangzeb died before that came to pass.
Abchal Nagar. After the death of the cruel Emperor Aurangzeb, Guru Gobind Singh met with Bahadur Shah, the Mughal successor to the throne. The Guru moved through India, ministering to the communities of the Sikhs. He made a camp south of Bombay in the area of Nanded, on the banks of the river Godavari. The Guru arrived in Nanded in the late summer of 1707 with an army of 300 Khalsa. Here he set up his camp, and it became known as the city of Abchal Nagar, the eternal city of God. Happy with the seclusion and the peace of the area, the Guru used to sit in prayer and meditation on a small stone platform near the river. But even as the Sangat rejoiced, Guru Gobind Singh knew something that his Khalsa did not. The time for his departure from the earth was near. Although the Guru spent his days again with the Khalsa, he made his final preparations to die. Having accomplished his objectives on this earth and taken care of his loved ones and secured the future of the Khalsa spiritual nation, Guru Gobind Singh longed to return back to his eternal home with his eternal Lord. One night as he slept, an assassin crept through the guard and stabbed the Guru, mortally wounding him. The Sikhs were awestruck at what happened so unexpectedly and they were overcome with grief. But he counseled them not to worry and forbade them to grieve. O beloved Khalsa, the immortal God's will can never be resisted. He who takes birth must assuredly someday die. But they knelt at his feet and cried, "O Guruji, what will become of us? Who will succeed you and who will stand as our Guru?" And the Guru replied,
I entrust you to the immortal God himself. Ever remain under his protection alone. Wherever there are 5 Khalsa together, know that I am present in the midst of them. He who serves them serves me.
Going to the city Guru Granth Sahib Ji, he placed 5 paise and a coconut and bowed before the Shabad Guru. He said to his Khalsa,
The order has come from the undying Lord to now follow the Khalsa Panth. The hukum given to all Sikhs is to believe in the Sri Guru Granth Sahib as their Guru. If you hold the Sri Guru Granth as your Guru, all of my blessings will be showered upon you. Whenever you wish to see my face, look to the Shabad, the word of Guru, and you will find me. Jyoti Jyot. The Guru commanded that a funeral pyre of sandalwood be built and be screened by tent walls. In the last watch of the night on October 7th, 1708, Guru Gobind Singh asked all of his Sikhs to return to their homes, with the exception of one Sevadar. The Guru dressed royally in a gold chola with sword, shield, bow, and a quiver of arrows. He wore a string of pearls, and on his turban he wore his khalgi, a beautiful feather plume. It is written that as soon as the Sikhs left, the Guru mounted his horse and rode by himself into the pyre. Not yet 42 years old, Guru Gobind Singh, the King of Kings, breathed his last breath. The grief of the Khalsa was unendurable. But remembering Guru's last words, they bowed before the Sri Guru Granth Sahib with total dedication and devotion. Prasad was distributed far and wide as the news spread through the Khalsa Panth. Guru Gobind Singh is with us even today as the protector of the Khalsa, and never fails to come to the aid of those in need who call upon him. The Shabad Guru, the true Guru, the Sri Guru Granth Sahib is the great and everlasting Guru of the Sikhs. Never again will the Khalsa bow to a man, but only to the word of God, the truth of truths. It is in that purity and glory that Khalsa will live forever. Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh.